You know when it's 1:30 to 3 a.m. and you get a phone call? You hear the ring and you're like, who the heck is calling me this late? You dig your phone out of your pocket and sure enough, it's like some old toxic ex. And you aren't gonna answer, but you're kind of like, what if I did though? But you know you're not going to because they mess with your emotions and that's a bad situation. So you wouldn't ever go back. But what if they change? It's been a few months. Maybe they aren't lying or manipulative anymore. I mean, people can grow, and besides, they were fine. Besides that stuff, it was pretty good,
You sound insane. Do you realize that?
But then you either don't answer and you live a great life because that would be a mistake, or you do answer and you gain a new life experience. Well, boys, yesterday Overwatch 2 called my ass. And I may or may not have been especially weak that day. And I mean, you see the title? I need counseling. Today I take you along on my revisit to an old toxic ex. Today we learn why you should and why you shouldn't play this game in 2023 and why Overwatch. But before we do that, I do want to sort of ask you a favor. Not to like and subscribe, that would be weird. No, I mean I want you to suspend your intrusive thoughts. I want you to imagine this ex never emotionally damaged you. Like pretend that Overwatch 2 wasn't a scam to implement a new monetization system for the game. Pretend that skins aren't in $40 bundles. Pretend that PvE was, never even a thing in the first place. Let's just put all of that, and let's be honest, we know what all of that is, aside for now. Let's explore Overwatch 2 in 2023 from a completely coped out lens. So I re-downloaded the game and just kind of clicked around a bit. There was a lot of new stuff in the game and it was legitimately mostly pretty good. The first thing I ended up checking out was Hero Mastery. Hero Mastery is a new single-player game mode where you sort of run an obstacle course with different characters. This obstacle course consists of platforming and bots to kill and coins to collect, all while you're trying to make it to the end as fast as possible so that you can get the most points. There are 3 levels that gradually increase in difficulty, and you can get some decent rewards from each specific character you play from this, such as battle pass progression, emblems, and titles. Overall, I think it's good, cheap fun, and I think some people will really enjoy this game mode. There's not really any downside to it being in the game, and straight up, I just kind of like it. After doing a few rounds of that, I poked my head into the arcade game mode, and this is normal Overwatch type stuff going on in here. What I mean by that is, if you liked arcade game modes previously, you're still gonna like them. They have the basics. Lucio Ball is in season, Deathmatch is back in 4v4 and also free-for-all, and you have things like no gravity and no limits, and these things constantly change, so there's always something new. However, the thing that is relatively new in arcade game mode is basically a prop hunt game mode. I have nothing bad to say about it. If you like prop hunt from Gary's mod and you play Overwatch, it's there. It's a game mode. While I do somewhat occasionally enjoy arcade game modes, to be completely honest, I've always played Overwatch to play PvP. I don't really like quick play because I feel like there's nothing at stake, and oftentimes people rotate in and out of quick play during the match, so in general, it just doesn't give a good, consistent experience or challenge. I think Overwatch is at its best in comp. So after I was done poking around and just checking stuff out, I went straight into comp. And that overall experience was not really what I remembered Overwatch being like. Let me explain by first telling you what I really enjoyed about the game. Then we can get into the bad stuff. When I first started playing comp, that Overwatch feeling just really takes you over. When you haven't played the game for a while, I feel like it's just so much fun, at least for a little bit. Like, characters in the game feel so satisfying. There's so many different options. You have the ability to swap dynamically and don't get unreasonably punished for it. The abilities feel really cool and fun. Ultimates feel impactful, and when you have a good game in Overwatch, one that feels relatively balanced, the game is just so good. And fortunately for me, my first game back was that. It was good. It felt great to be back, and it just reminded me that despite everything that has happened with Overwatch and Blizzard, Overwatch at its core, straight up, fundamentally it's a good game. It's got issues or whatever, but like it's fundamentally solid, especially so when the character balance is good, and in the support and DPS role specifically, it feels pretty balanced within those roles right now. And that balance lets you play what you want to play, which is so cool, because characters do have this identity about them and this unique-ish play style to each of them. So the game does really shine when the balance is good. Which, speaking of that identity, Blizzard has done a really good job of doubling down on that with their new progression system for the characters. Essentially, as you play a character, you get to level that character up just by playing the game. Like with Ana, for example, by killing enemies, healing friendlies, and landing my abilities, I get like little notches in my belt that tell me I'm a good boy and I'm doing a good job. It's not crazy or anything, but it's kind of like in Apex when you see someone with 1 billion kills on the scoreboard, or like in Smite when you see someone with a bunch of stars on their character portrait. It's cool to flex how experienced or good you are with a character in a way that others can see, and you hope they think, dang, that guy's cool. So hero progression system, 2 thumbs up from me. Some other newer features that I really enjoyed are the fire mechanic that they added back into the game. This mechanic is sort of a subtle one. Something just feels really good about killing a few people or doing a lot for the team. You hear that sound effect and see that icon pop up on your nameplate. You feel individualistic, you feel important, you feel like you are making an impact. It's great, and I'm glad that they brought it back. But my overall experience just thinking about the game, and not so much thinking about Blizzard's broken promises and their nasty practices, I was just reminded that Overwatch is good. Fundamentally, it's a good game. However, it's not void of its issues. And there's some pretty big issues right now with the game, and I'd like to talk about those too. One of the first things you notice when you queue up is that tank has less than 1 minute queue time, and healer has an extremely long queue time, and DPS is sort of in the middle. This is very weird. If you play any game with the Trinity system, you know that DPS is usually the longest queue possible, and that's because most people think they are hot shit and they want to do big dick damage. Another observation is that in Overwatch, the team comp is 5v5 now, with only 1 tank. So if tank queue times are extremely short, and you only need 2 tanks per match versus 4 healers and 4 DPS per match, that means very few people are playing tank. A moderate amount of people are playing DPS, and a lot of people are playing support. Once I got into my first game, I quickly understood why this was happening. Essentially, if there is a noticeable tank gap, you have an 80% chance of kissing that game goodbye. Tanks are so powerful in Overwatch right now. And not only are tanks so powerful, but also supports heal for so much. There is so much sustain pumped into the tanks to keep them alive, because they are clearly the most defined win condition for the game. Meanwhile, damage will always have a place for people clicking heads to basically carry, but for that steady state gameplay, damage doesn't feel impactful. Like, you as a damage person are not trying to just get a pick to turn the tide of the fight. You are trying to kill the healers to have a chance at killing the tank to win the fight. Like, damage just feels like it has the least potential to carry of all of the classes, but tank also carries way too much. It puts you in a spot where you feel like if you queue tank, you have to play very well or you will lose. And it's so obvious when you're getting diffed. It's very high pressure. And as a result, I don't think people want to play that role. And as damage, it's like, I can't really impact the game unless I'm just absolutely popping off, because the healers and tanks are just gonna live, and if I kill another DPS, who cares? And then there's support, which has so many options to change the outcome of fights and also provide enormous amounts of healing, with also an obvious win condition: heal the tank, don't die. That's all you gotta do. And I think that's driving people to the support role when they're deciding what they want to queue for in comp. Saying that fundamental problem is sort of where all my problems with the game currently stem from. So before I go more into that, I'd like to get some of my side complaints out of the way. Tank versus tank is a game of who is going to get diffed and switches to Orisa first. She is legit that powerful. She seems undeniably the best tank in the tank role by far. Moving on from tanks, comp SR system sucks. Losing cards are terrible, because if you lose 2 to 3 matches in one of your sets, you basically are getting fucked and you are going to D rank or not move at all, which feels so bad. All this means is that some wins still feel like losses, and ultimately, this discourages you from playing comp because you know that if you get off to a bad start, even if you win, you won't see any rank up from your work. So what's the point of continuing to play? And my last complaint is voice chat. I don't know if it's my rank, I don't know if it's my region, hell, maybe it's me. I don't know. Why do people not join voice chat in a team game? It makes me so mad. When the win condition in an overall game is as easy as play better as a team than the other team, and we can't even get in comms when I know every motherfucker in this lobby has a microphone. It's incredibly frustrating, especially if you play other games like Valorant, and you rarely find a lobby where at least one other person is not communicating in team chat. It's incredibly frustrating if you want to win. Moving on, while all these issues persist, does the good not outweigh the bad in Overwatch? Was my overall experience dipping my toes back into Overwatch not a fun one? No. It was fun. I just think maybe there's something else wrong. Like, even if the game is decently good and yeah, it's fun, why is the general consensus that Overwatch is cooked right now? Why isn't Overwatch performing like Valorant or CSGO or League if the underlying gameplay is still decent and they share similar markets? Well, it definitely has a lot to do with promises that weren't kept. Let's not pretend like some people didn't really want PvE. However, I don't think that's the root cause. Was PvE even gonna be good anyway? Especially good enough to keep players playing Overwatch over better PvP? Probably not. Let's also not pretend that Overwatch 2 wasn't literally just a way to change monetization models for the game, which that kind of bleeds into the sentiment that the player base feels cheated, lied to, manipulated, that entire like pool of emotions. But I don't even think that's the reason Overwatch is sort of dead, dying, not popular, whatever clickbait I'm going to use. Like and subscribe, by the way. I think it comes down to a more fundamental aspect of the game, one that isn't easily solved, and the more I think about it, the more I think this is the same reason Overwatch 1 slowly lost popularity. It's the fact that you have no other choice but to rely on your team. Can you carry games as an individual person? Yes. Can you win games despite your team? Yes. Is this easy to do consistently in all roles? No. Is the game designed to let you carry yourself? No, it's not. Some people may disagree with this, but it doesn't matter what a streamer says. It doesn't matter what a top 500 player says. It matters what the bulk of players say. The golds, the silvers, the plats. These are the people that make the game popular. This is where the majority of the player base lies. These are the people that drive the numbers. The fucking middle class, baby. And I think especially with only one tank now, the fact that the tank is the most powerful character in each match, the fact that a tank diff is a clear indicator of a win or a loss, the game is more of a team game now than ever before. You have to play as a team to win the game, and you are playing around that tank role. Let me give you an example. In Valorant, Tens rounds the corner. He sees 5 people posted up. Everyone watching knows that while the odds aren't in his favor to win the encounter, that fucker has the ability to kill every single person on the screen and just straight up win despite all the odds against him. Hell, even a middle class player has the ability, even if it's only once in that person's life. They have the ability to have that sweet clutch moment, and he can just straight up win you the game. Not just kill their best player and then the rest of the team has a 4v2 advantage. No, they can wipe the fucking lobby. And in Overwatch 2, you never feel that. You never, as an individual, look in the face of the entire enemy team and think, hold my beer. The game just isn't designed that way. It's a huge game of position, rock, paper, scissoring abilities, and managing resources as a team. And this is a problem because you feel helpless. You feel like you can't progress unless you just have a semi-competent team, which granted is sort of cope, but it's also sort of not.
As veteran Overwatch players, team composition is everything to your success and failure of whether or not you're going to win the match. For this reason, we are introducing a feature that's going to give you more control over your experience, and this feature is called Role Queue.
In Overwatch 1, 2v2v2 had to be implemented because people just straight up wouldn't be reasonable and play as a team to win games. Yeah, balancing is easier and there's other reasons for 2v2v2, but You can't tell me it wasn't mainly to improve matchmaking and so that your team actually plays as a team. Then there's comms. Overwatch is a team-based game and it's rare to find a team fully in comms. Like what the fuck? That just feels bad. And again, I don't think Overwatch at its core is a bad game. Heroes are fun, they're unique. Anyone can find something here. Ability synergies are cool. The Trinity system in a shooter game is interesting. It's got its place, yeah, 100%. But the game will never be as popular as other mega PvP games unless Blizzard makes some changes to just make the game feel better. And I hate that everyone is using this lately, but I don't know how else to say it. The vibe check. Overwatch just doesn't pass vibe check anymore. It doesn't seem like it's moving in a direction to fix this either, even despite the obvious band-aid improvements that Blizzard has done to the game since Overwatch 2's release. I would love to see the game back on top. I think a lot of people really enjoyed Overwatch, and I don't see a reason why Blizzard couldn't salvage the game if they really wanted to put forth the effort to revive it. All I think they need to do is alter the game so that each individual role has equal impact on the outcome of the game. Now that's easier said than done, but I do think it's doable. Saying that, let me know what you think. Do you think Overwatch is dead? Do you like the game? Am I spot on? You all were very pissed off in the comments on my last Overwatch video, so let me know again if I'm an absolute idiot and I'm just way off. Besides, it's good for the algorithm. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I've been Java Monkey J. Peace.
If we lose this game, I'm uninstalling 100%.
You should uninstall it anyway.
I probably will after this. Alright, looks like I'm uninstalling. I'll see you guys later. Good luck.
Alright, later, dude.
Oh my god. How do you lose this game?